Right, guys, we are back, and this is gonna be the final lecture. And this is gonna be a monster lecture because what we're gonna do is, you can see here I added a light. Before we start by unlocking and opening up the door, you can see that I do have a light here. This is just the wrench. I was just putting it here just in front of me. Otherwise, I always have to run across the whole corridor. In this case, I just want to grab it right away, and then I can just test things. But now you can see that there's always, maybe here this is not really that visible, but let's go here. I was just placing the green and the red herb, and you can see that I do have some small spotlights. Just for you, this is just a tip. When you open up your inventory folder, you open up your master item. Once you opened up your master item, you go to viewport here, and you can just add a spotlight if you want to. Just add a spotlight. And I made sure that this is on top of my static mesh, so this is not a child. It's going to be destroyed automatically anyway. So once we pick it up, everything is going to be destroyed because it is inside our ActiveBP. So just make sure that you have this maybe like 1 meter on top, or maybe half a meter. It doesn't really matter. It depends on the intensity and the attenuation radius and all that stuff. So what I did is approximately this height here, so around your hip maybe. And then I set this to EV, the intensity units, and I have intensity of 8 EV. Light color is just plain color, but I was activating the use temperature with the temperature of 8500, which is a lot colder. Yes, like a really cold light, because I like it. Attenuation radius 130, inner cone 5, outer cone 15, source radius 50, and soft source radius 25, and then I think you should be good to go. You can disable the volumetric scattering intensity, because if you don't really like this foggy effect here, you can just completely set the volumetric scattering here to 0 if you want. But I just keep it like it is here. So then feel free to play around with those values and then make sure that you have a light. And if this is maybe too strong or something, you can also just displace this. Just drag it up a little bit if I can. Like so, it really depends what you want to have. Okay, cool. So this is what I did just for you. Especially when it's a really dark environment, you should have this type of stuff. So now I will show you what we're going to do for this final lecture. Let me put this back to, yeah, it's on Epic, so it's quite high settings for the game, but what you can see now, I added the inspect, what we did earlier. You can see nothing really changed. What I changed now is we're using the F key instead of the spacebar key, but I will just show you step by step on how to build this. So let me just show you what I did here. We can inspect what we did previously. This time you can use the F key. I just switched the spacebar to the F key, so it's a little more organized. Nothing really changed here so far yet, but we have a lot to do, you will see. So nothing basically is going to change. The inspect is just being removed, and we can just press F again. We are back. Now we have the objective, so nothing really changed. But once we pick up this wrench, so we're going to shoot this one down later, right? So we can just pick it up. When we go here now, we can see that the inventory is going to pop up automatically, because now we have this check that once we have this inside our inventory and we interact with this, this is what you're going to build. We're going to have this wrench. Then right click, we can use this one, and you can see this animation, and the door is going to open. And you can see the actor is gone. So the lock is gone, you cannot really interact anymore, and you can just go through. You still have your lock, okay? And you can just, boom, goodbye. That's it. So thanks for watching, and no, I'm just kidding. So what we can do, let me press F to go, let me just go back here. So yeah, we need to build a lot of things here in order to make this work. And we're also going to use some event dispatchers, like actually 2 event dispatchers. Because you believe like, yeah, this is not really a lot, but there are a couple of blueprints involved to make this rotate, to open this, and yeah, to actually have this all being in place. So I really want to focus like having this Resident Evil style game. But you can also see the wrench is not there anymore. The light is gone, the lock is gone, everything is gone, and the door is being opened. Okay, so first of all, before we start, I already made a safety copy. So we still have the log from our previous lecture. This is what I remembered. What we're going to do is we will delete all those things and we will completely start from scratch because I changed some things also here in the beginning. So the best thing we will do is we will just completely get rid of every single thing. And we also need to create some additional events and functions. And you can see 2 event dispatchers as well. And we also need to have the button. So we need to have the use button because we don't have it. And then we also need to use the wrench after clicking on the button, on the use button. And inside there, we have another function is the rotate. And then after this, we have another event dispatcher, which will be then the rotate door, just to open the door. You can see on the end, we're going to call this event that the door will get this, receive this call and then can open this stuff. So yeah, what I will do is I will just completely get rid of every single thing just for you guys. And then I will compile and save. Then what I will do, I will just completely delete the door basement, the blueprint here, because you don't have it. Okay. You can see. Don't mind this, okay? You will still have the static mesh here, but you need to delete your static mesh anyway. You're gonna replace this later with the door blueprint. Otherwise, you cannot really animate your door and rotate your door. So then let me also delete this is what we have already, the lock camera, this is fine. We need to delete all the functions inside our AC inventory so that we start from scratch. So let me go into the AC inventory. We need to delete the has wrench, the use wrench, yes. And we need to delete the rotating wrench. We need to delete the wrench obtained. You don't have this also. Compile, and we need to go back into our, so I'm just thinking out loud here. You don't need to do anything. Then I need to go back to my log and, oh yes, I did delete everything again. And let me delete also those event dispatchers. And then the door, yes, and we have this rotating wrench, right? Let me see, mesh, unlock rotation. Yes, and this is also something we need to create another blueprint just to make this rotate because we have individual parts. The reason why we have individual parts to rotate this is because first I wanted to have this animation that only this part will adjust to the screw or will just align perfectly to the screw. And then we have a different, like another rotation to open the screw. So we need 2 different scene points or 2 different transform points, pivot points in order to rotate. So this is something we have to build. And this is why I need to also delete this one. So he's just telling me like, hey, I will just completely close the AC inventory. Thanks for that. And then, yes, you have the shooting wrench already from the previous lecture. You can put this into a so-called, when you click here, just when you have default category, just rename this to objective 01 and just put your shooting wrench inside your objective 01 because we're going to build some more functions and also the event dispatcher inside there. Okay, so I believe we do have everything. Just in case if I forgot something, I would just delete it right away. Let me open up all my screenshots because I think I will forget something because it's a lot. So also before we start, just for you to understand, when you go into your AC inventory and you have your event graph, just double click on your event graph. We have this add item to inventory. You can create, let me just go inside here. You can create item to be picked up. I will just explain to you pretty quick, just to get different sounds when you pick something up. So when you get your item to be picked up, this guy, right? You can get this, right click, convert to validated get. And then from here, get class, okay? And then from here, you can get your class defaults. And you want to make sure that you basically hook this one up here from your pickup item. You hook this one up to your validated get the class from here, get class defaults. If I can type class defaults, right? Then from the item type, just get the switch again. We do this hundreds of times. Make sure that you also connect this one. So if this is valid, you can connect this one also. Make sure that you do this, okay? And then you can see from the isValid, we can play a sound. So just connect all the item types, every single item type, and then you can always connect the pickup sound. Just make sure that you always go into your items and update your pickup sounds. Okay, this is just what I did because I wanted to have different kinds of pickup sounds now for the weapon, for the tool. So I will have now different pickup sounds. And what you can do is once you build this, you can just drag select again, right click and collapse nodes. Just collapse nodes and make sure that you connect the input and that you also get an output and connect to the output. And then you can just hook this one up in front. Okay, you need to do this in advance and then add item to inventory. Otherwise, you can't find your item. Okay, cool. So just a tip for you guys. So let's just compile and save. So now finally we can start. We need to go into the BP log. So let's go to our objective folder we just created. Objective folder. Let's open up the blueprint folder. Let's go to BP log. We need to create 2 functions. So I will just delete them here because we're gonna do this from scratch. Please make sure that you delete every single thing here inside your event. No functions, not a single event for you guys, nothing. Okay, we will completely start from scratch. So what you need to do is first you create the first function and you call this one is set log camera. It's a little more organized. This is what we did before. So get player controller, get the player controller, and also get your BP log camera. You have this already here from the previous lecture. Just get this one. What you can do now is from here set view target with blend and disable the context sensitive. Set the view target with blend. This is going to be your new view target, and this is going to be your target, the player controller. And just put this guy like so. Connect this one to your freshly created function. Then what you want to do is you get your BP character. Okay, similar to what we did before. Get actor location. Just stack this. From here, drag off and just type in plus, get this plus. And what we're going to do in this case, like what I did, is I set this guy to X 100 and Y minus 50. But this is completely dependent on your world and how, because we are teleporting him next to the door, so the door is not blocking what we did before. So please make sure that you try out your own values, which is working good for you. Then from here, we want to do, no, actually, let's do from the character. Let's just copy the character. And here you want to set actor location. You want to set the actor location. And make sure that you hook this one up like so. Okay. This one, of course, is the new location. And then you can stack this one. I always stack things to make this nice and tidy. And then you will be good to go. You don't need to sweep. You don't need to teleport. And then you just want to play a simple sound. So in my case, I just want to play sound 2D. And this is going to be the locked door. So I have 2. No, it's just the sound cue here. Okay, so let's just get this one. Or just create your own. You have all the sounds available in your resource project. Just get the lock sound, and then you will be good to go. And then compile and save. Create another function. This function is now set player camera, because we want to set this also back, just like we did before. In this case, I can just simply go to my previous function here. Let me just copy this a little faster. Let me just copy that. But in this case, it's not the log camera. We will just delete this. This is going to be the BP character, because we set this back now to the BP character. Blend time here, don't forget this, blend time is 1. And we want to make sure that we get the BP character also, because we need to set target arm length. Let me just enable context sensitive. And I forgot something, sorry for that. You need to get the camera boom first. Just get the camera boom also. And then you can find the target arm length. Just set this 1. In my case, back to 200. But this also depends what you have as a default target arm length inside your BP character. You need to check this one. Then just copy camera boom and BP character and drag off of the camera boom also, and just set socket offset. And the socket offset, like I told you already as well, would be those values you have inside your BP third person blueprint. So make sure that you get those values back. And then you just go back and you want to set the actor location. Just copy this from your previous function. Set the actor location, but not for the, but without, you can just get rid of this stuff, okay? You don't need the location and the vector, because you just want to put this guy to 200, 150, and 90. If you're now confused, I told you already, if you're completely confused why you set this back to those values, this depends on where you are standing. If you are standing here maybe, or you have a different place, a different world, a different door, you need to check where your character is standing. This is what I told you in the previous lecture, okay? And then you can see when you play your game, you're standing in front of the door, this is the position you want to have. Just press F8 during the gameplay, press F8 and click on your third person BP and see your location values, X, Y, and Z. And this is what you want to put inside here. And then you will be good to go. Now we need to create a pure cast inside our AC. Open up the AC inventory, and we need to create a new function. Just click on the plus. And what we want to do is has wrench, because this is just a check for us. So first of all, we get the inventory. This is pretty simple to do. Contains. If this contains the BP wrench, then you can just branch it. Okay. And then create another bool. Just click on the plus here, get a bool, and you call this one wrench obtained. Set this one to true, because you obtained this guy. Compile and save. This check will only fire, or this check will only happen once we are basically interacting with our door. We don't need to have this check earlier. It doesn't really matter, because only once we approach the door, and then when we interact with the door, we're gonna check this one. And this is only what matters. After this, you want to make sure that you show the inventory, because once you have it and you are interacting with your locked door, you want to make sure that you go here and show inventory, because we want to get this one and use this actually. Then just add a return node, just type in return node. And then you want to make sure that you connect this one. And here the bool from our wrench obtained, just drag it also. And you can call this one, instead of output get, just call this one obtained. And then create a pure cast. Just get a pure cast and compile and save. And then you will be good to go for this check. Next thing we need to do, we need to go back to our BP log. Okay, let's go out. Let's close the two functions we just created, set log and set player camera. So now we are back on track. First of all, inside here, we don't have any events, right? We deleted everything. I want to do a custom event first. This custom event I will call e_door unlocked. So we need to prepare an event. Now we set the player camera, because when we unlock the door, we want to have this back, our viewport, our default camera. And then from here, we just want to disable input. The input we want to, sorry, not disable. Sorry for that. Of course, it makes sense to enable back the input. So right click, get player controller. You just get the player controller, hook this one up to the player controller, and you get your BP character here. This was not a good idea, so I just put this guy like so and like so. This is what I want to have. After we enable the input, you can play a sound 2D. You don't really need a sound allocation, because you will always stand in the same place, so it doesn't really matter. This is going to be the unlock. So just find in your resource project, if not already migrated, get your unlock door sounds, and then you're going to have this pretty cool stuff. And when we unlocked the door, we want to make sure that we also destroy the actor. So this is the actor itself. Okay, so you don't need to connect anything. We will completely destroy the lock. So basically this thingy here with the light and everything will be destroyed. Then you want to make sure that we prepare already the two event dispatchers. We don't really, we call one of those dispatchers here. And the next one we will call once we click our button. And we need to create our button also. And we need to also reveal our button. So the first, actually we can set up both event dispatchers. It's gonna make sense. So click on the plus on event dispatchers. So the first one is called ed for event dispatcher underscore. We call this one rotate. Now let's start with unlock door. Just unlock door. And then get another one, and we call this one event dispatcher underscore rotate door. Okay, and then just compile and save. And we can already get the rotate and call this one. So when this happens later, we will call our blueprint we don't have yet, our door blueprint. We will just call, and he's like, yeah, okay, now I'm going to rotate, because we open up this whole stuff. And this one, the unlock door, this is something we're going to create. This is something we're going to call later. So compile and save. Now, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we get our interaction here. You remember this is our sphere collision. Okay, the small sphere collision with a sphere radius of 24. This is what we set up. You have this already. So don't freak out. This is the sphere collision. We just renamed this. Just click on this interaction and go all the way down. And you want to make sure that you have the begin overlap. And you also want to make sure that you have the end overlap again, just like we had before. So first things first, yes, we're going to create a widget. And the widget is something we already used and have. This is the inspect. The W objective 01 inspect. And we want to make sure that we set this one to our objective inspect here. So you have this from the previous one. Just in case if you did delete this, I don't think you delete this, but then you can also just right click here and promote to a variable again. But this is what we already did before, so you can just reconnect this one. Then from here, of course, you want to add to viewport. Makes sense because you want to see it actually. And after this, we want to enable the input for this actor. So we want to do something inside here. And this is why you also get the player controller, otherwise you can't really find basically our controller. So hook this one up to player controller. Then on end overlap, you want to make sure that you also disable. So when we are not really colliding anymore with this sphere collision, you want to disable the input. Otherwise, you will always have the possibility or the ability to collide, and not to collide, to interact. So even if you're standing in a complete different place and you press spacebar or F, you still can switch to your camera, to your lock camera, and this is pretty weird and pretty horrible. So of course we need to disconnect this basically. Then you're gonna have the WB object inspect again. Just get this one, right click, convert to a validated get, and you wanna just connect this one also. From here, yes, you wanna remove from parent, because we wanna hide this once we are not inside this we are not inside this actor BP, or we're standing in front of this actor BP. So this is now clean. So now next thing we need to do, once we are overlapping and we can see, yes, now we can actually do things here because we enabled our input. We want to use the F key for this specific actor BP. So now we can use this key actually. We want to prepare, when we press, we want to prepare again the flip-flop. Okay, nothing really changed here so far, but what's about to change now is we want to get the interaction, the box collision, okay? Not really, the sphere collision. And from here, we want to set the sphere radius. The reason why I'm increasing here the sphere radius from 24 by default to 100 is because we are teleporting our character. And then he will, during our observation, he will just leave this sphere, because it's really small by default, 24. You can see here. But when our character is here and he's just being teleported to the side to unblock our camera view, this will trigger because we are not colliding anymore. And this means we don't have any input. And if you don't have any input, we can't do anything here. So this is the reason why I'm just making it bigger during the observation. Then what you need to do is you get again the is valid here from the W objective, inspect, and just hook this one up also here. And then remove from parent. You can just copy this one here. And then finally, we need to cast to our character because we need data. So cast to a third person character. This is pretty important. And from here, just get the player character. So you can find this right away because player character, this is what we are. And just stack this one underneath. And then from here, you don't need to promote to variable. We did this already. Just get the PP character. This is what you already did. Sorry, I can't hit any nodes here. And then once you have this, you want to make sure that you drag off of here and get the disable input. Because once we are, just this regular disable input, we want to make sure that we get our player character here. This is not good. I mean the player controller. Sorry for that. This is just a little confusing. So get the player controller, and we want to disable the input for our PP character. And then after we disable the input for our character, we can now get the set lock camera, this function we created. Hook this one up. From here, I want to have a delay. I think this is a little better, just to wait like 1 second or something, 0.5, maybe 2 seconds, just to wait a little bit. Once we obtain the wrench, we want to make sure that our inventory is going to pop up, but not immediately. It's just going to pop up a little bit later, just 1 or maybe maximum 2 seconds later. It's a little better. Now we can get our PP character again, and we prepared something inside our AC inventory. So you remember that we prepared, why is this so disgusting to find? Get the AC inventory, it's on the bottom. You remember that we prepared a pure cast, which is called has wrench. Okay, this is just our simple check. So just branch this, okay? We don't need to do anything else, it's just a check, and it's pretty important that we have this branch, because if we do not have the wrench, okay, so if this is false, then we shouldn't do anything, okay, because now we will proceed with the logic only when we have the wrench in our inventory. Only then we will be able to proceed. So when we picked up this tool, we can finally enable our input, our character and player controller. Just copy this from the previous one. Now we are setting this back, basically, okay? And then we want to have another delay. Just get a simple delay, and I use something like 3.5 seconds is actually quite nice. 3.5 seconds. Because we want to have some delay, we're gonna have the E door unlocked here. E door unlocked. And compile and save. So this basically, this event here, this is gonna fire. And then we will also open up our door. The reason why we have a delay of 3.5 seconds is because we destroy the lock, and we have the unlock actor. We set our player camera back, like our default camera, and we also want to make sure that we enable our input and all that stuff. So this is the reason. Let me just see. I believe we don't really need to enable the input here, right? No, we don't really need to enable the input. You can see, actually, let me just check my screenshot here. No, actually you can, you can delete this inside this event, this enable input. You can delete this because our input is already enabled once we fire this. So when we have the wrench and we interact and we choose our wrench, this is gonna trigger. Okay. So again, I told you we want to have some delay, and I also forgot to tell you it's a bigger delay because we really want to rotate the tool and we want to see it. And this is basically the time during our animation, and then we will call basically our stuff here, the door rotation, and then we will destroy. Otherwise, he's just destroying the lock, and the door is going to open up, but our animation is playing. So this is why we need a delay for this. Okay, and then let's just compile and save. We need to proceed. So as for the flip-flop here, just get the set sphere radius, just copy this one, put this to B, and we want to set this back to 24, like we had before. Then we want to set the player camera, and we want to make sure that we disable the input, but we only want to disable the input for self, not the BP character. We only want to disable the input again for this specific actor BP. But on the other hand, we want to enable the input. So just get this one we had here, enable input. We just want to also enable the input for our player controller. Then you get the lock inspected. You have this one already. Just get this one, right click, convert to branch, and get this one after this. If this is, if this is false, so first time we never inspected really the lock, okay? So if this is false, we want to have a delay, just a small delay of 1 second maybe. And then we can create our objective info text. So we make sure that we only trigger this once in our game. So create widget, This one is like we did before, our BP info, not BP, our WB objective info. And then you don't really need to promote this to a variable, but of course you need to add to viewport, otherwise you're never going to see it. And then just get another delay. So you remember we have set up a really long animation for our text, and we set this to 6 seconds. You can remember in our widget blueprint. After this, you want to drag off of here and remove from parent. You just want to remove this from parent. And then get the log inspected and set this to true, because now the log has been inspected. And we want to also make sure that we get our BP character, we want to set our BP character just to clean this up. So this is now none. It's set to none, because in this state here, we will always leave our log camera. Doesn't really matter if we have the tool or not, we will always leave when we press F a second time. So this is why we want to delete our data here. And once we interact again, you can see here that we actually, here, in the beginning we cast anyway. Good. Now we can compile and save. What we need to do now is we create our rotation tool. So inside here, go blueprint class, get an actor, call this one BP underscore wrench rotation. Okay, this is just the mesh for us to rotate this. And we open this one up. We add a static mesh. We call this one log. Then we get the log, just get the log, which will be this one, rotation log, it is called, yes. Add another static mesh. So now the hierarchy and the children stuff does really matter here, it's really important. Static mesh. This one is the wrench 1, let's call this wrench 1. And the wrench 1, let me see, wrench, sorry, it's called differently, it's called rotation, I believe. Yes, you need to search for rotation mesh 1, sorry for that, it's a little weird, but it's rotation mesh 1. So this part basically, because we need to rotate this separately in advance. And then we rotate everything basically. Then get another static mesh. So this is now your third static mesh. And you call this one the wrench 2. And this one will be the rotation mesh 2. This one. Now this is a little weird, right? Because we need to do some things. Make sure that you drag the wrench 2 into the wrench 1, and make sure that you drag the wrench 1 into the log. So everything's now independently. So you don't have any children here. This is pretty important. You just need to drag those things on top until the arrow basically is gone, so that now they are all separate. Okay? What we need to do now is we add a so-called scene, just a simple scene. And this scene is going to be called rotator 1, because we want to rotate something first. And what we put into the rotator 1 is going to be the wrench 1. So this part, this is the wrench part 1. And we want to put this into the rotator 1, which is our scene. We just renamed this to rotator 1. So make sure that the rotator 1, which is your scene, like I said, has now a children, which is the wrench 1 inside. Add another scene. Okay, so just add another scene and make sure that you drag this one onto the log and then just again, so that this scene is now also independent. It's not a child of anything, okay? Press F2 because this is now your rotator 2. And inside our rotator 2, we want to make sure that we put our rotator 1, which is going to inherit already the wrench 1, we put this into the rotator 2, and we put the wrench 2 inside the rotator 2, and we add another mesh, static mesh, and this is going to be called screw. And you want to make sure that you put this screw outside. So just drag this. So this is not really a child anymore. And then you also put this into the rotator 2. I know this is confusing, but you're going to get there. It has to look like this. The lock is on top and it's independent. The rotator has an arrow here, and this is the child. The rotator 1 is a child of the rotator 2. But also at the same time, the wrench part 1 is a child of the rotator 1. And the screw and the wrench is also a child of the rotator 2. So just make sure that it looks exactly like this. You will get there, trust me. Another thing you need to do is click on the plus down here. You need to get a variable, and this is called BP lock. And the BP lock is going to be the BP lock we already created. BP lock object reference. Make sure that this instance is editable, and then compile and save. Now I did one mistake, and this is a little tedious now. I'm sorry for that. We need to do this together, because what I, of course, forgot is for the rotator, it cannot be a child as of now, because we need to place it on certain spots. Sorry for this. So let's start by dragging the rotator here to the lock. In order to remove the children, you need to get your wrench 1 and drag this on top of your rotator 1. Now it's not a child anymore. You need to do this also for the screw. Just drag this one on top, and also for the wrench 2, drag this one on top. Sorry. So this is how you can get rid of your children. And now what you need to do, because now you have the rotator 1, and the rotator 1 is basically now this position here. You need to click on your rotator 1 first, and you need to set this position here, rotator 1. And also watch from here, you need to put this on top of your screw, and it needs to be centered. You can also use the front and side view and stuff like that, but I will not do that because it's horrible in this case. I will show you. Yeah, this is the reason why it's horrible, because it's completely blocking my view. This is why I have to do some weird stuff here. So please make sure that this is in the center, as accurate as possible. Like so. Just take your time until you can see, yes, it should be quite all right. So this might be the center here. Then go to rotator 2. Why is the rotator 2 a child? Doesn't make sense. Sorry for that. Rotator 2. The rotator 2, sorry, rotator 1, we need to go back. The rotator 1 needs to be here. Sorry for this. Rotator 1 needs to be on this spot. Okay, it needs to be in this spot exactly. Make sure that this is completely centered. I know it's horrible to see, and the front view is not really going to work. So rotator 1, put this in the center. And then rotator 2 will be here, directly in the center of this screw. Just put this in the center. And you need to be quite accurate. You don't need to be completely perfect, but it should be quite accurate. If your rotation, your animation is going to look a little off or weird, please adjust those things. But you should take your time. Okay, cool. So once you have this, now you can just recreate your children. So wrench 1 is going to go inside the rotator 1 again. The rotator 1 then is going into the rotator 2. Your screw is going into the rotator 2, and your wrench 2 is going into the rotator 2. This is how it needs to be. Okay? Perfect. Compile and save. And make sure that you have this, like I said, instance is editable. It needs to be editable. Now we open up our inventory buttons. Let's go to inventory, widgets, inventory buttons. You need to click on your scrap button and then Control D. Just click on your scrap button and Control D, because you're going to have a duplication here. Rename your duplication to use button. Rename your image, your duplicated image, to use button image. Or in this case, I should make this a little more organized, IMG. Replace your use button IMG here. You can see a brush. Please type in use. You're going to see render full. This is going to be a use picture. And please make sure that your image size is 512 by 32. Just decrease the number until this is aligned perfectly. Okay, so you need to update your picture. The use button is going to be a variable. Yes, it is by default. And when you click on the use button, make sure that you use onClicked, then onHovered, and then on unhovered. Okay, you need to click on those things until you see in the graph that you have here inside the event graph. Sorry for this. Don't mind this. Okay, don't mind this. Let me also just delete this one and this one. We're going to build this together. So just make sure that you put your use button unhovered here and the unhovered here also, and just set your color and opacity. Okay, you only need to copy this, and it's going to make sense to actually connect this one. Okay, so just get this one, get your use button, connect your use button to the target, and put this guy to the play sound. And make sure that you have also a nice color for the hovered. So in my case, I'm using like a yellow-green color with the alpha value of 0.6. Okay, so this is what I have for all the buttons also. Okay, and then what we need to do here on clicked use button, you can prepare this already. Just get the AC, the macro. We have this already for a long time. And then you get the clicked item. Here we already have this also. And if you're completely confused, get AC means, when you open this one up, we just get, why is this an error here? Okay, sorry for that. You need to get owning player pawn. From there, drag off, get component by class, and search for the AC inventory. And then from there, you need to hook this one up later. Okay, this is only our AC inventory, nothing else. So we can already drag off of here, and let's do remove from parent and unhook this, because we need to hook something up in between here later. We only want to prepare this. And you can use the item SFX here. And if you open this one up, you can see when we use this one, please make sure that you always update your use item sound. Same we did in the beginning, pick item sound. Make sure you have also proper use item sounds inside your items, the default settings, okay? Good. So then this is being prepared. We need a function here. And this function is going to be called inside our AC inventory. And we call this one, let's click on the plus here. We call this one first use wrench, okay? For the use wrench, we want to make sure that we click on this. Let's create an input. Our input is going to be the BP master item as a class reference. And we call this one wrench because this is only our wrench use. But, or I don't know, you can also later just, if you have several objectives, several tools, several keys, things you want to interact with, you want to make sure that you use this button. Yes, you can also have a different name, but it's not really needed because this function is only for our wrench. So just call this on wrench, and from here get class defaults. And then you want to make sure that you switch here, connect this one. We want to make sure that we only using the wrench, and from here we want to hide inventory. So once we use it, we're going to hide our inventory. And now the fun stuff starts. We want to spawn actor from class. But this actor we didn't set up yet, okay? So we can compile, but it's going to give us an error. This is pretty normal. So we don't have this one yet. Let's just quickly create this one. Or actually, sorry for that, my apologies, we do have it. Yeah, we just created this one. I was just confused because we are creating so many actor BPs. So yes, this is the one we already created. So BP wrench rotation. This is what we want to spawn. The BP wrench rotation we just created. This one. The spawn transform. I will just explain to you how you can get this. Right click, make transform. Just get the make transform. You can already hook this one up. And what you need, rotation is 0, 0, 0. This is good. Scale is 1, 1, 1. But the location is pretty important. So how did I get my location? I did the location, to be honest. You have this log already. You can now get your objectives. Objective here, blueprint, the BP wrench rotation. Just put this one here. And what you can do, let's snap the rotation. And let's rotate this 180. In my case, I need to rotate this one at 180. And what I will do, I will just copy those values here, I believe. So when you click on your existing log, this is your existing log you already have before. You can see here those values, 237, 197, 125. So if I just copy this value here and put this into my branch rotation, BP, then I get this value, the Y value, and copy this. And then I get the, this one, the Z value. This one, sorry. Put this here. So now this is being exactly placed. Exactly. It's being exactly placed. So what you should do is you should get those values. So let me just delete this rotation branch, active BP. It's the same stuff. You can just get this one, the X value, just Control C, open up your BP, your AC inventory, and put this inside here. Boom. Then get the Y value and put this here into the Y value. Sorry, why isn't this going to work? And the Z value. So this needs to be the exact same thing because we're going to spawn this on the exact same position. Then you will be all set for this. Then you can here right click and promote to variable. Call your promoted variable BP rotating wrench. I deleted this one, right? Yes, I deleted this one. So right click, promote a variable, and call this one BP rotating wrench. Pretty important. Now, when we compile and save, you're not going to have any errors. And then when you go into your BP rotation, wrench rotation, we want to go now to the event graph. Okay, let's just delete those event graphs, those event nodes, I should say. And what we want to do now, we want to create an event we can then hook up here. And this is going to be the rotating movement for our wrench. So let's go to the BP wrench rotation inside the event graph, and we're going to build this. First of all, the BP log you can see here, we did expose this on spawn. What you can do here is, let me just think for a minute. We need to connect this BP log. So what we can do, we get our BP log, okay? Because when we play the game, so event begin play, think logically. When we start our game, what is going to happen? The instance of our BP log, this guy, is being spawned once we play. So we can get this one, right click, convert to validated get, because when we start the game, we check if this is valid. Of course, it's going to be valid. When we go to our BP log, you can see that we created two event dispatchers here. Unlock door and the rotate door. So for this specific type, we go into our BP wrench rotation, okay? So we're building this now, the rotation event. We wanna drag off of here and we wanna bind event to ed on unlock. Sorry for this, let me compile. And let me just do this again. Yeah, let me just do this again. Bind event unlock door, this one. Bind event unlock door. He's gonna find it. He's gonna find this event dispatcher, because you set the BP log to the BP log, right? You did this one. BP log, object reference, and then you compile. And then he's gonna find this event. Just connect this one. And then he's gonna demand an event. So drag off of here. And this is where we can actually rotate. So let's just get, a custom event. And we call this one eRotate wrench. And from here, we want to use a delay. So we just want to wait maybe 1 second until this is going to start. And we also want to play a sound 2D. This is what I want. And the sound 2D should be the wrench, but you can just get the simple sound. So in this case, I'm using the wrench 2. Okay. So just for the start. And then we need a timeline. Drag off of here and add timeline component. Sorry, not a component. This one here on the bottom. Add timeline. We call this one rotate wrench 1. We call this rotate wrench 1. And you want to make sure that you play this from start. In this case, it doesn't really matter because we only play this once. So it doesn't really matter, but you just want to make sure that this is play from start. So just open this one up. Set the length to 0.5. Track is a float track. Right click here, add key. time is 0, type in 0. Value is 0, type in 0. Right click here in 0.5, add another key. The time is 0.5, but the value is now 1. And now maybe you already understand why that is. Let me just compile and save, close this one, and just reopen this. Now it's better aligned. So click on this, and also control click on this point, right click and break. So you have this nice and smooth animation. This is our timeline. So after half a second, 0.5, okay, after half a second, we lerp from one rotator to another rotator. We lerp, and it's gonna take a half a second. And this is why it's gonna get animated. So now you have this new track. Just reopen this one, the timeline, and click on this new track and click F2 or press F2. And we call this one rotate time. I don't even care. Rotate time. So this is basically the blend time. What we need to do here is drag off of here and get a lerp rotator. Get a lerp rotator. So this is going to take a half a second from A to B. Drag off of the return value and get add local rotation. We need to have the local rotation for our rotator 1. Okay? Otherwise, it's not really going to work. And you can see our rotator 1 is a child of the rotator 2, but also the wrench is also a child of the rotator 1. And everything else, the screw and the wrench, except for the lock, but everything else is also a child of the rotator 2. So basically everything, wrench 1, wrench 2, and screw, it is all a child of 2. The only difference is that our wrench is separately also a child of rotator 1. Okay? You need to have this perfect, otherwise your rotation will be off and it's gonna look weird. So update this one. And let's queue this until this looks good, hopefully. Like so. So this is our first animation. We have one more to go. So get a delay, because after we align this grip, basically, so what we are doing here now is part of this wrench is now being aligned onto the screw. Okay, so this is the first part of our animation. So now we get a delay, and then maybe after 1 second, we want to rotate this whole stuff, the whole screw together with the two parts. Okay, so this is why we need another timeline. Let's play also a sound. So when we not spawn, play sound, what is so hard? This guy, and I want to do the wrench 1. So this is the next animation sound. It's a little longer. So this is for the turn, or for the you know what I mean. Then let's drag here, just to make this a little more tidy. Let's get another timeline. Add a timeline down here. Call this one rotate wrench 2. And clean this one up. Just double click here and clean this one up. And double click here and clean this one up. Drag select both reroutes and queue, just to make sure that this is straight, and put this guy here so it's a little cleaner. And let me align this to the grid. And control, drag, and put this into play from start. So on update, we want to do more stuff, but we need to open our rotate wrench. In this case, we want to do a length of 1. Track is another float track. Right click here again, add a curve, and we want to set this time 0. Value is 0, and here after 1 second, add another curve float. Set this to 1, and the value is 1. Then compile, click on this new track, F2, call this one rotate wrench 2. Compile again, let's close this, go back inside, and just drag select both points, and then right click and break. It's really hard for me to think and being confused and talk. It's horrible. So you have this nice and settled animation curve. Then what you need to do is you get another lerp rotator. Just copy this one, make your life easy, and put this also to the alpha. Okay, pretty simple stuff. Now what you want to do is you get another add local rotation. But this time, it's not the wrench part 1, it's the wrench 2. Sorry, not what I'm talking. The rotator 2. Sorry for that. The rotator 2. This is pretty important. And then we want to make sure that we have another delay. So we have many delays now. But the good stuff about this is we don't need to do anything. It's doing everything for us. This is pretty cool. Get the update. Put this into the add local rotation. Don't forget this, otherwise it will never fire. It's never gonna rotate. So the delay is not 0.2, it's 2 seconds. And then after it's been completed, basically, we just want to destroy actor. So we're just destroying also this actor because now we rotated everything and our lock is open and everything is good. And we destroy also this actor. And then boom, it's gone. Okay? We clean things up. So one more thing we need to assign here is the value here for our lerp rotators. We do have the first lerp rotator and we have this one, this lerp rotator. So we need to have some values. So my value, what works best is, I was testing this out. For the first rotate wrench, I used minus 4.5. And for this one, but this can also strongly, like being strongly different in your case, you need to play around with those values until your rotation is fine. For the rotate wrench 2, I set the Y, the B, Y, to 5, positive 5. And this is negative 4.5 for the first rotation. Just make sure that you have this as a baseline, and then you can later just adjust this. Okay, cool. And then this is basically it. Yeah, let me just check. Okay, so this is pretty normal. You don't need to put anything into A and B, and you don't need to put anything into A and B, okay? You don't need to do that. The reason why that is because when you click on your rotator here, you can see by default, it is 0, 0, 0. Our rotator 2 is by default 0, 0, 0. So this is our starting position, and this means that this is perfectly fine. The only thing what's going to change is that this is being rotated like so, and like this. It's just rotating counterclockwise, I should say. And this is what the y-axis is going to do for us. Okay, and it's going to take half a second here, from 0 to minus 4.5, and it's going to take 1 second for the second animation, from 0 to positive 5 on the y-axis. And this is the reason why this is going to work. Compile and save. Now we need to go back to our AC inventory. We need to go to show buttons. Show buttons. You have this wrench here. Let me open up the wrench. And you need to make sure that you get your set visibility, just in case if you don't have it. I mean, yes, you don't have it, obviously. You can just go to some existing, like, let's say, pistol, for example. Just get your set visibility. Just Control-C. Just get your visibility. Any node is fine. Go back to show buttons. Control-V. And you don't have this, right? You don't have this for now. You can just get this one. Boom. This is visible. And then you just get your, it was the WB inventory buttons, right? Just get your buttons widgets here, W inventory buttons. Get this one, drag off of here and get the use button. Just get the use button and put this inside here. Okay? But you need to get your wrench obtained in advance. Get wrench obtained, right click, convert to branch. Do it like so. If this is true, once we have it, only then we can have the use button. Okay? Also, what you should do is get another visibility. Just get another one. Connect this one also. Copy your inventory buttons widget, drag off of here, and also get the inspect button. Because I have it, I'm not really sure why I have it, because by default it should be visible. I'm not really sure. Let me see why that is. I believe we don't need that, right? Use button. Yeah, I'm confused. No. Let me see why that is. Why do I have the... Okay, I cannot really tell you why that is. Just make sure, just to be safe. Maybe you don't need it. I just set this one up before. Just make sure that you also set up the inspect button. But actually, you don't even need to do this. You can delete this one, and you can also just connect this widget and just connect this one here as well. You can set many buttons in one node. Okay, so you can just do this. And then just drag, select, right click, and collapse nodes. And once you did that, you're gonna have this wrench. Just call this node wrench. And when you open this one up, you're gonna have this. But sorry for this, of course, I need to get back my wrench obtained. So convert to branch, please don't forget this. And I believe, sorry for the hesitation here. Yeah, I believe you don't need to do this. If we just keep this inspect button here for our wrench, I think you can delete it, because if you assign this, you can then inspect during the interaction with your door. Doesn't make any sense. But you will always inspect this by default. You can inspect every single item by default. So this means you don't need to add this. Sorry for this. Now, sorry for the confusion. Sorry for the confusion. I didn't pay attention to the visibility here. Yes, now of course it's gonna make sense. When our wrench is obtained, this will only be true once we interact and once we open up our inventory and get the wrench. Once this happens, then this will be true, and we only want to see the use button, and we set the visibility for the inspect button to collapsed. Yes, now it makes sense. We set the inspect button to collapse because we only want to make sure that we can only use this during the observation or during the inspection of our door. We can only use and not really inspect. This is what I wanted to do. So now it's going to make sense. So this needs to be collapsed. Okay, so now it makes sense. So please make this exactly like so. And connect your collapse graph to your wrench, okay? And then you will be set. Another thing you should do, inside your AC, you have now the wrench obtained and you have the BP rotating wrench. Just drag select here, category, and call this one objective 01. And then you can also just get your wrench obtained and put this one into the objective 01. And now this is a little more organized. So for every single objective you have in your game, you can just put everything here. And then compile and save. Now, finally, we can go back to our inventory buttons. Let's go to graph. And now what you can do, from the AC, just drag off of your AC. And now we can use wrench. Get this one. Finally, we can make this complete. And he's going to ask you for the item you click. And this is pretty important. Otherwise, we will never know if this is the wrench or not. And this is, yeah, like I said, this is pretty important that you have this. Okay, cool. And then just compile and save. Now we are not really done yet. We need to go inside our use wrench because we are building this, or we have built this now. But there's one last thing left. And this is the actual rotation. We want to call this with an event dispatcher. We have this one. And this is called the event dispatcher rotate. So please drag off of here and get the eRotate wrench. This is the event being fired when we call the event dispatcher. So if I just double click here, just for you to understand, on event begin play, when we have our BP lock, so this is being spawned in our world, we will bind an event. So our event is here. Unlock door. This is our event. And when this is being fired, we will do the whole rotation logic. This is our event, which is bound to our event dispatcher. So now I hope you can understand what I'm trying to tell you. Then what we need to do is we need to set up our door. So when we go back to our objectives, let's do blueprint, right click, blueprint class, actor, BP underscore, door, basement. So in my case, this door is leading to a basement. It's just my imagination. So just to be specific, open this one up, add a static mesh, and the door we just deleted before is called, let's just get door. This is the static mesh door underscore 1. This is the door. Just zoom out, and then you're going to find this. And let me just speed up a little more here. And now this is pretty important. You want to add another scene because we need to rotate this on a specific pivot point. So you get this scene, but the scene, you drag this on top of your door, okay? And now your door goes inside the scene. The door is a child of the scene, and you click on the scene, F2, and you call this one door rotator. And this door rotator now, sorry for this, please click again on your door and drag this on top of your door rotator, because we need to separate this again, the door rotator, because we need to put this scene component exactly here. This is pretty important. We are standing here, and our door needs to rotate like it would in real life. And this is the point here, this corner. Otherwise, if you're using a different spot, your door is just gonna overlap with your door frame. It's just, it's looking weird. So you just wanna make sure that, just like in real life, and you look at your door right now, you will see that you're gonna have those things here on the corner when it's going inside. Okay, so then once you place that, you can now get your door mesh and drag this on top or inside the door rotator. Now you need to have it like so. And then compile and save. Then click on the plus, and you also want to get the BP lock. Sorry, without underscore, BP lock. Click here, BP lock, and get the BP lock object reference. And click on the I, because this needs to be instance is editable also. Compile and save. Then back into our world, you can click on the snapping. Please make sure that this is snap to 100. Okay. And then you can get the door actually, and just snap it here. Boom. And we need to, sorry for this, we also need to snap 90 degrees, snap it 180 on the Z-axis. And then you can set this like so. Okay. So this is now your door BP. And what we want to do, first we save, and then we go back into our door BP. We want to close down the construction script. And what we need to do is on event begin play, so this is what you want to keep. On event begin play, we want to check the BP lock if this is valid. And before we do this, you want to make sure that you click on your door blueprint. You have this now, BP lock, because we exposed this as instance is editable. So the BP lock, click on this pen and click on your BP lock here. This needs to be filled and then save. And then you don't need to cast, by the way. So this is the reason. And then you can just get the BP lock, right click, convert to validated get, check this one if this is valid. If this is valid, drag off the blue dot here and bind event. So we're using the event dispatcher, bind event ed on rotate. Bind event to ed rotate door. Just type in bind event rotate door just to find that. And then you can drag off of here and just get a custom event, just add event, custom event, and you call this one eRotate door. This is what you want to use. And here, just add timeline, just add the timeline from the bottom here. Call this one rotate door. Open this one up. 3 seconds is fine. Let's do 3 seconds. Track, float track, right click, add a float, which is 0 and 0, and get another one here. Just zoom out, get another one here after 3 seconds. Here, type in a 3 and sorry for this, 3, tab, and value is 1. And just drag select both dots, right click, break. So you have this nice float, I should say, this nice curve. And the new track, just click on this because it's ugly. F2, we call this one rotation time or something like this. It is 3 seconds. You can close this one now. Let's align this. Make this a little more tidy. Like so. Just get those things and put this here. Sweet. Then from here, from the float, just lerp rotator again. You just need the update here and just add local rotation. And he's going to ask you what kind of rotation. The door rotator. This is the reason why we set this one up. So you get the door rotator. And the value what works for me is basically, let me just connect this one first, makes sense, sorry for this. So the value I have here is on the z-axis, positive 3, only a small number. It's a little weird. Yes, I know. In the beginning, I was like, yeah, it must be the float value, right? So this should be 90 degrees. So the z-axis should be 90 or 60 or 45. But this is completely different because it depends on the timeline. This is the reason. So a small value on B on the z-axis of positive 3 is fine for me. Otherwise, if your door is completely like crashing out or something, please feel free to readjust this value here, but you need to update this value. But by default, it should work. And this is it. So compile and save. And now we need to go back to AC inventory. And then you have this event, which is now being called. Okay, cool. So I believe this must be it. I know it's a lot of stuff, but actually we can try to do things, and then we will just clean up and get rid of bugs, potential bugs. So let me try this. Let's play. So what you should have is you can see the inspect UI. Now we're using the F button. You remember this. So if I just go here, press F, you can now see your camera again. And one more thing I would like to, let me just clean up one more thing. You can see the inspect button still. So I want to go back to the BP log here. And I want to make sure that, yes, we need to swap this. Set sphere radius. Let's swap this. Okay. First, we want to remove this. It's a little weird. And then we set the sphere radius. Otherwise, he will never really, he will always think like, yeah, we are always colliding with it. So first, we want to remove this when we press F. So then I believe it should be not visible anymore. So we can interact with this. Now it's gone. And then you can just toggle. So this means you can now press F again. And it's not going to work. It's pretty amazing. So let me see. Okay, so it's working. Apparently before it wasn't working. The reason why that is maybe is because I will just explain to you. I think it has to do with the size of our sphere collision. So if you have trouble just coming back by pressing F again, maybe it's wise to maybe get a bigger sphere radius, maybe 200 or something. And also it's strongly dependent on where you put your character. So you do have this function, set lock camera. And this is where we put our character to the side. So this is also pretty important. If those values are just too big, your character is going to spawn much far away. And this is why you need to maybe reduce those values here also. Okay, so the sphere radius for your collision and also the actor location is pretty important. So I can now see the inspect. I can now toggle F or press F. Nothing is going to happen again. So now I'm standing in front of the door. I can press F. It's going to work. And then I can just wait maybe 1, 2, 3, 5 seconds. And then I just go back. It's going to work. We do have the objective, just like we had before. I can spam the F button. It's not going to work because we disabled the input. I can just go back. If I want to, I can inspect again. I can go out, but the objective is only being spawned once. Okay. And then I can pick up the tool. Okay. I can inspect if I want to. So don't mind the low resolution because I didn't update the streaming pool size. Okay. So just in case, just type in here again, streaming pool size, because my character is pretty high res. And this is why he's eating up all the pool size basically. So let me just start again. Let me get this wrench. And now you can see it's crisp. Yeah, now you can see we have nice textures here. Okay, cool. So now I have this in my inventory. I might just want to restart again. Sorry for this. So let me just get this one so I can see now, yes, it's in my inventory. I can go back. Now, this is going to appear automatically. Right click and let's use. And the reason, sorry for this, I forgot one more thing. The reason why this looks so out of place is because we need to do one more thing. Sorry for this. When you go to the has wrench, drag this inside your objective here, just to organize things. Use wrench also. Use wrench, open this one up. What I forgot to tell you is the rotation on the Z. You need to set this to 180 in this case. Compile and save. And then, because we rotated it also, so let's just do this again. So now I have it. I can inspect if I want to. Maybe like with a different light. Looks fine for me. And then we can just go out here, inspect. It's gonna pop up automatically. We can use it. And this is the way to go. Boom, that's it. And your door has been opened. That's it. Yeah, the reason why that is because we can rotate a little more the door. Let's go to door basement. Let's do 3.5. The lerp rotator. And then you should be able to just hurry. Then let's use this one. Yes. And then it will be good to go. And goodbye. And this is basically it. Let me just double click here. So I will be back. This is basically it. You could see that the lock, the wrench, you could destroy it a little earlier, to be honest. So one more thing which is bothering me is why is the inspect UI not vanishing? Let me swap back. Sorry for this. Let me swap this one again, just to test things. Maybe you don't need to do it. I will just tell you if this is going to work, because I'm really confused for this stuff. So first we set these there. Now it's going to work. Yeah, now it's going to work. Let me just try this one more time. We get our wrench, come back, we wait a little bit, we interact, we wait a little bit, and oh yeah, we have it already. Let's use this one. Yes. Yeah, but it works. It's fine. So we can test things out again. So without the tool, just wait a little bit. Yes, and we can go out. Okay, so final test. And then this course is finally done and you learned a lot. So let me just delete this one. Final test. Let me see the wrench wheel shooting down. Yes, looks good. One thing you should notice, when you have the light, you probably rotate this, right? You're probably rotating this, but then your light is also being rotated. Your light is here and it's just projecting it from the side. You can solve this issue by just getting into the blueprint wrench, your item, go to viewport, and please make sure that you rotate your mesh so that this is laying like so. Just get the mesh and rotate this. Okay, just get the snapping tool here. And then make sure when it's like so that your light is on top. And then it will be fine. Just another tip. So finally, let's close this course. So we open, we get our pistol. We can also grab this one here. And we can grab this one. Let's combine. We can also use. Let's go here. And then let's get this one. We shoot this guy down. Nice. We get this one and we have it. And then let's go here. Boom. Let's use this one. That's it. This is your door. And you can go through. Nice. So yeah, thanks. I hope you liked the course. And yeah, this is basically like the biggest course I ever did. The longest and biggest and the most in-depth course regarding blueprints. And yeah, I hope you learned a lot. If you still have trouble, if you have problems, obviously by this amount of info you have, there are a couple of questions, a couple of things you really have trouble. Feel always free to dive into the resource project, because the resource project has all the logic. Okay? The only logic which is not in the resource for now is the corridor. I don't have the corridor level for the resource project, but everything else is inside the resource project, and all the logic for weapon, shooting function, aim, offset, animations, everything is inside the resource project. Everything is set up one by one. And then you can always dive into those blueprints and check and see and compare why maybe your stuff is not really going to work. Still, if this is not really going to work, you can always ask questions. And this is also why I was making sure that you have now everything for the corridor, the objective, getting the wrench, shooting down the wrench, opening up the door with the wrench, and have the animation properly, the event dispatchers and everything. So this is why we went through this now step by step. And this was basically a really huge last lecture. But yes, I know it's heavy. I know, and you're probably going to have some mistakes and some things which is not going to work. But then you just have to reevaluate and check your notes, check your things, everything is properly connected. 99% of cases when something is not working, 99% of cases, it's just because there's just one small thing missing, or one small node is just not really connected, or maybe one variable is swapped out. This is the only reason why this is not going to work. And yeah, so see you in the next course.